Morning, everybody. Welcome to the November meeting of the Hudson River Black River Regulating Districts Board meeting. Call to order, Mr. Ferrara.
Mr. Chairman. Mark Finkel.
Here.
Albert Hayes.
Here.
David Bergstrom.
Here.
Anthony Netto.
Here.
Jeffrey Rosenthal.
Here.
Robert Moore is excused. Michael Clark. Here. Robert Leslie. Here. Robert Fulton.
Here.
John Hudson.
Here.
Stephanie Rizicki. Here. Richard Ferrara. Here. Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. We need a motion to adopt or revise the meeting agenda. We have to revise it for a executive session to discuss a settlement, Niagara Mohawk litigation, and also revise it to approve an expense voucher that wasn't included on the agenda.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye. We got a quizzical look.
We have a number of people who want to talk this morning. Some on the appeal, and I think we'll wait till we get to 7 on that. If that's acceptable to everybody, we have one other. Bob Ho from Fisher Forestry.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. I came before the board back in October at Stillwater and made some summary of meetings I had with Mike and with Robert. I sent an email with a copy of my comments, just a summary, and I wanted to request that it be included in the official record of the meeting from October. I don't know if you got my email or not, but you did. So is that something we could do?
I don't.
Minutes of the October meeting reflect your comment.
Well,
The actual, yes, they are sparse.
yeah.
The actual document that you submitted, if you want to have that included in the minutes, would be included in this meeting's
Okay,
minutes.
that's fine.
If you're submitting them here for the board's
Yeah,
consideration.
I just wanted to be in the record for full comments that I made.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. Appreciate it.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you. Number 6, approval of the October 13th, 2015 regular board minutes. I need a motion.
I'll make that motion.
Mr. Hayes.
Second?
I'll second it.
Mr. Bergstrom.
Any discussions or corrections? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Well, we're at 7 awful quick. Okay, we're at 7, the Baldwin Clenna appeal. And I would like to let the guests speak first. I'll take them in the order they're here. Jen Clenna. Oh, that's perfect.
Thank you very much for allowing us to come to speak to you today. I do have some information I'm going to pass out to everybody. This is in response to the memorandum that we got from Mike Clark about our actual. Yeah, we can do that. Let's remove something from it. I'm actually going to respond briefly to the memorandum that came from Mike Clark with the information that I have just given you. Thanks, basically, in the memorandum, it said there's certain things that we did not do, and what I actually handed you out was all the things that we did during the process of getting our beach permit, our commercial beach permit. The big reason why we're here today is that when we met with Hudson River Black River since 2015, and I have to say John Hudson was absolutely wonderful to work with, giving us ideas in terms of what we needed to do. Met with Mike Clark on a couple occasions, and everybody in the district was very nice. We had to do two things. We had to figure out a way to subdivide our property so we met the needs of the town, so we could get our 100 feet of road frontage, but also the way our property is situated, our 150 feet of beach is on the first 150 feet of our property. So there wasn't any way for us to divide the property and actually have each piece of property touch that beachfront. So the recommendation was to create an LLC. Didn't have a problem with creating an LLC. We went and we did that. The problem came when we went to try to get beach insurance for the LLC. We we had 18 A-rated companies, commercial companies, turn us down, saying we're not going to provide you with beach insurance. You don't own the property, you don't own the lake, we're not going to do it. They all said, why don't you put it on your homeowners? We asked, why can't we put it on our homeowners? We can't put it on our homeowners because we're now an LLC. There were some like technically B or excess companies that did say they would provide us with beach insurance. And so we went through some of the excess people, the ones that said originally they would provide us with beach insurance, at the end of the day said, nope, we're not going to provide it, or the number went up from like $750, this was we're not going to provide it, another number went up from $1,100 and up to $3,600. So this is, we are Janice and Bill Baldwin, 514 South Shore Road. We had 67 acres and we had a 150-foot beach. All we had to do was put a rider on our homeowners insurance and we could meet the needs of the district in terms of insurance. Now that we're an LLC and we have two families, we're having a very difficult time, and I've got hours and hours, and I've got another stack of papers like this, and I've talked to many, many insurance companies, and they're saying we're just not going to insure you. One of the things that we found out, you've got on your umbrella, you've got a $2 million, $1 million coverage that we needed to have. The insurance that we're getting, the people who did say they would insure us, the insurance is going to cost us somewhere in the range of $3,600 next year, being split among two families. These companies will provide the insurance, but you're asking us to provide insurance as if we're a restaurant or a marina on the lake. We don't have people, all we're asking for is to have a boat for each piece of property. We're not having people, we're not putting in a huge dock system. We're not having people coming to our house and having great parties and selling things and selling alcohol and doing all that kind of stuff. We are just two families right now with a potential of three families that just want to be able to leave the beach. We don't mind providing insurance, but the times have changed. I went through and I read through we've read through all of the regulations, we've gone through everything. It's 2015, it's no longer 2002. And as we look at the way the lake is and the way the property is in the lake, we're going to see more and more people that are going to be in our situation that aren't going to be able to get insurance. So we're respectfully requesting that the board look and see if they can come up with a different type of class for insurance so that we're not special commercial, we're not commercial insurance. Because right now you have residential, you have commercial, and you have special. And we don't really fall, yes, we're residential, and I understand we're more than one family, I get that. But we're not commercial in the fact that we're not a business that's operating business and bringing people into our establishment to do anything. So we're looking to say, can you please consider looking at another class? And I'm just throwing this out, and this is just an example, and I'm not expecting this to be what it is, but when we looked on the lake, the smallest LLC that we could find had 6 families, and they were paying that $3,600 rate, so that was like $600 a year. Well, we paid $600 a year this year because we were lucky. We went to insurance companies all over the lake. I went through A.J. Gallagher, which is one of the biggest, if not the biggest, insurance agency in the Capital District area, and we just, every step of the way, we were told no, no, no. We love the lake, we want to be able to participate, we want to work with the district, but it's a hardship that A, we might not be able to get it, and B, if we can get it, the price is so ridiculous, so is there a way that we can work this out? So, for example, if we said that not an LLC could be creating a category that set up to like maybe 4 families or 5 families, or whatever you deem appropriate, and we could definitely, in a heartbeat, tie it to our homeowners insurance and get the insurance that we need. But because we're commercial, we can't do that at this point. So the issue is, it was intended that we didn't send in all the paperwork. We did send in the paperwork. You've got it there. We did send it in. We do have insurance for this year. Now, the insurance company that we went through was through the FOIA agency on Sacandaga Lake. They said, oh yeah, this is a piece of cake. Well, it wasn't a piece of cake. They were actually stunned. It took them almost a month. It was like 3 weeks before they made a decision that they were willing to insure us. And then absolutely, they said, we don't know if we can expect this to happen next year. They insured it as vacant land. And my agent through A.J. Gallagher said, I bet you they're going to insure it through vacant land, and that's what they're doing. So it has really nothing to do with the beach. So if there were any issues with boats or anything like that, it's not going to be covered under that policy. So this is a very real problem I'm bringing to you today. Again, we want to work with the district. We're not going to fight the district. We do have insurance. We've done everything we can. You know, along the way, we try to keep open communication. And I respectfully request that this be studied further, and we've got to figure out what we're going to do for next year, for the 2016 year. So anything you want to add?
Very good. Thank you. I can promise you we will sit down and discuss it. I've already discussed it with some people here. Anybody have any questions for this group?
I just had a couple of.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine, yeah, please.
The Baldwins and the Clennis, they bring an interesting point here. I think it's important for the board to, how we got here originally is Baldwin's had a permit, front lot permit for a long time. Back to the 2001, 2002 in that. And remember that we define a front lot permit as where their private property touches the state property. And just by the nature of things, the way the lot that these folks have the way it's oriented in the field, is that the front line doesn't run totally parallel. A portion of the folks, their front lot, their property touches. It's like, it's that 150 feet. But they wanted to, along the way, over time, and over the past few years, wanted to subdivide 2 lots off of there. One, I believe, that the Clennis bought and built on. And just based on there's a sliver of private land between that section of private property that's now split from the greater lot, that, and it doesn't bound directly on New York State property line. So, you know, we had discussions, I think, even before you actually.
What's that sliver of land that you're talking
Oh,
about?
it's another piece of private property.
Someone else's
What
property?
happened was, out of the original, because this is the property here in the 20s, and out of the original property, there was one piece of property that was carved out of the middle that actually took the other part of that beach permit.
Okay,
Or, I mean, took the other part of that original beach that went with that property, not the beach permit. So that's where, you know, part of the problem also came from, right?
okay.
The bottom line is nobody's going to buy a property that's looking at the lake right there unless
Can't get
they
to the
can get to the lake, understandably. So, you know, there were quite a few discussions.
We tried many things.
And it was, you know, the best recommendation that staff had for the Baldwins and Clennis was to create an association, which is clean and fine, and then dedicate that 150 feet that was formerly a front lot access permit, and make that an association permit, which in our permit system, the way it's administered, falls under the category of a special permit. All well and good. The issue and the problem, I think, is that there was a resolution back in 2003 that established the insurance limits for commercial and special. And as Mr. Baldwin pointed out, it treats them as kind of the same kind of operation, same kind of entity. So I don't think the limits are any different in terms of what we would expect from a large marina or with a restaurant and bar and that type of thing that adjoins versus, you know, some of the smaller folks that have homeowners associations, whether there's 3 or 6 or 12. So I think, you know, staff understands their plight and that of other special interests in the homeowners associations that have those special access permits issued to them. But our staff's guidance is that resolution that goes back many years now and hasn't been amended or touched since then. So I get exactly where they're coming from. It's just that the policy is established by that resolution. That's one area, one point of focus that we need to.
So it is something we can study.
And as I said, you know, I mean, our renewals are going out. The next permit year begins next March. So these folks and, well, everybody else around the lake too that has to provide an insurance certificate. That's something that they're going to be dealing with in terms of renewing, I would imagine. I don't know how the cycle falls exactly,
Yeah,
but still.
people are going to be hit hard. I think this even shocked the small agencies that they're talking to because there hasn't been an issue. And I think the problem is there's been so many catastrophic things that have happened that insurance companies are now taking a much closer look at things than they used to. You know, and they used to say, okay, fine, we'll just do this, and probably most people are insured, with the exception of maybe the big marinas and things like that. Being insured is vacant land. But we weren't able, you know, we were able to get that for 1 year. I hope to be able to get insurance next year. I'm not saying we're not, but it's a very real problem, and it's gonna snowball. It's just gonna continue to get worse, and you're gonna see more and more people on the lake, even people with current associations having issues.
Any other questions or comments?
How many homeowners associations are there?
That's a good question.
Thank you.
30 to 40?
And the
In
range,
terms of special permits.
and the range of size.
Somewhere around there.
Well, I mean,
Are the-
you know,
Yeah.
she pinned it down. I mean, it goes all the way from the
small
folks that are homeowners associations. It also includes a couple of not-for-profits. It includes a few clubs that aren't commercial operations, but they have a dock system. They operate as kind of a marina sort in that the club members can use that. There's the problem, I won't say problem, the issue is the special permit was created decades ago as a catch-all to represent access permits that weren't just for one single-family resident, non-commercial lots. And by the same token, they didn't have a restaurant, bar, marina, so they weren't a commercial operation either. It was intended to capture everyone else that would otherwise, that didn't meet either of those two criteria. And I'm just pulling a number out of the air, but it's 40 plus. There's a few. I mean, that's 40 or so out of 4,800. So it's not a huge number, but.
I think the other thing too that I learned, because like I said, the next biggest one, and there's 3 other ones out there, I'm not saying it's it, but Dick Smith, he's got one of the 6 families from the sector of protection. That was the next size up that we can find, the smallest one we can find. I'm not saying there's not other ones, I'm just letting you know. The one thing that we did find out also is that most people, I'll be honest with you, they circumvent the Hudson River system. And so what they've done is they've created easements, so the people got an easement. So if we could have sold a lot to the Clennas, legally we could have got an easement and said, yeah, you can use our beach because we could have 2 boats on the beach and we wouldn't even have to be here because we were allowed 2 boats, for our beach permit. So I think there's potential. I think people are doing all kinds of things and it needs to be looked at and possibly reined in something, find something that can work for a majority of the people. That's what we're looking for. Thank you very, very much for your time.
Well, thank you for coming. Thank you.
I really appreciate it. We look forward to hearing from you.
Very good, thank you. As I say, whenever we have a group of guests, you are welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting, but if you need to leave, no one's going to say, oh, feel free to leave. No one's going to be insulted if you walk out. And by the way, we always keep, when we have a bunch of group of people to speak, we always have audit reports just to. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Yep. Let us move to report of the executive director.
I'm going to wait if I just give you a copy.
Thanks, good to see you.
Good to see you. Robert, I'll give you a copy. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, my report is on page 36. In the at the top of the report, you see all the normal stuff that I always report, and it's always there because we always do it. Also, I would say that earlier in the month, Mr. Leslie and I met with the Attorney General's office to discuss a couple of matters, in particular potential that we may need representation in the U.S. Court of Appeals if if Erie Boulevard were to appeal the FERC decision further up the federal legal chain. More on that in a minute. I also attended, I found the MWBE agency and authority meeting for the directors and or commissioners. I took driver safety training, and also, and most importantly, in the past month and in the past few weeks, there's been a number of interesting developments. Last Monday, there was a mediation with between the regulating district and Niagara Mohawk regarding their decades-long list of assessment challenges, and Mr. Leslie, Mr. Ferraro attended, and in a nutshell, it was very productive. And if you recall, the previous meeting in October, the board had given staff direction as to what we could and could not accept as a tentative settlement. When these gentlemen walked out, they did have a tentative settlement in place that meets the board's, we believe meets the board's wishes and direction for that, and we can discuss that further. With respect to Erie Boulevard and the Headwater Benefits order, if you recall, on August 21st of this year, FERC issued an order that basically cleaned up, in their mind, the issue of Headwater Benefits payments and overpayment and that sort of thing. The fallout from that essentially was that with respect to Erie Boulevard, aka Brookfield, they ordered them to pay their Headwater benefits from 2009 through current, or the past amounts at that point. That amount was, and is, $2,555,700. And the reason they ordered them to pay all that and did not give them credit for as overpayment based on Erie's calculation was that FERC took into account and gave a lot of weight to the 2006 stipulation of settlement that Erie had with us, background. Long story short, they paid us. They being Erie, cut us a check at the end of last week for that amount. Now, FERC still hasn't issued a determination on Erie's motion for a rehearing, a request for a rehearing, or a motion for a stay of payment, although I don't know how that plays into it considering they paid us.
Move.
Yeah. Still outstanding on this whole matter is, remember, Boralex, the Quebec hydro company that owns the South Glens Falls Hydro and the Northern Electric Hydro, which is Hudson Falls, just downriver. They still have an order to pay us the 4 years worth of past Headwater benefits for the South Glens Falls project, not the Northern Electric project. They treated those two, even though they're owned by the same entity, they're set up differently, they're licensed differently, and they ordered us to pay the back amount on one and gave them credit for the Northern Electric one, the other project of Boralex. Gave them credit for the next 20, I want to say it's 28 years. It's a long darn time. We still haven't received that payment. I have to assume that they're waiting this to issue a motion regarding the request. Nevertheless, we expect it, and by our calculation, they owe us $418,000 change. And last, and certainly not least, we still have not received payment from Albany Engineering Corporation for $54,999, which represents Headwater benefits from 2009 through the present. I've got to assume that they're also waiting for FERC to actually put into writing their determination.
Is there interest on that?
We wish, but no,
There is a penalty.
through FERC, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Is there?
That's the meat of my report, and those are pretty significant happenings.
Yeah, I guess.
over the last couple of weeks.
Yes.
Actually, all of last week.
Yeah, exciting emails going out. Any questions?
Not at the moment.
Thank you very much. Contracts, Mr. Fulton.
Let's see. It's on page 37. The memorandum summarizes, revisits the ice sluice repair work at Conklinville, and staff is just seeking board reaffirmation of its authorization to solicit bids from contractors for the construction and repairs to the ice sluice structure. In addition to that, we are also seeking board authorization for the executive director to complete negotiation of a temporary construction license, which will allow the district and its contractor to temporarily access and use the Brookfield Erie Boulevard Hydropower's property at EJ West Hydroelectric Facility to facilitate the construction. And just looking for both of those motions. I'm going to take any questions if there are any.
Okay, so you need two motions?
Yep, one for the solicitation of the bids for contractors and the others for the executive director
Okay.
to execute that agreement.
I'll entertain a,
I'll make a motion for clarification separate, I guess.
You can do both.
I'll make a combined motion for parts A and B.
is there a second?
I'll make a combined second for parts A and B.
Any discussion? All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? You have your approval. Okay, staff reports. Mr. Burke-Stresser, the audit committee chair report.
Do I have to?
We don't,
There's
There's no
The
reason.
board didn't need to take any action.
So it'll
Okay.
just be posted and,
Correct, it'll be posted, so.
yeah, so we'll sit
Can you
there.
recite all the things he said?
No?
I'd like you to read that into the record, the entire audit report, please.
I'd like to
Move to
defer,
adjourn.
I'd like to defer that to the chairman. I'd like to move that to the full board, defer that to the chairman.
General counsel's report, Mr. Leslie.
Let's see. Well, Mike has stolen much of the thunder.
We still appreciate what you did.
FERC issued its order, continuing its time to review the requests for rehearing by Erie and Borlex. Despite Erie payment, the parties still await final ruling on those two requests for rehearing. And the stay from Borlex, they've still got a request out there. In addition, Albany Engineering submitted a letter to FERC asking for clarification as to whether they need to make their payment pending FERC's order on rehearing for
You're-
Borlex and for
You're kidding, right?
Erie. I'm not sure
Okay.
what Albany Engineering is thinking. They didn't make a request for rehearing. There is no question as to whether they're required to pay it.
Right.
And they are subject to a penalty of 5% for delay of any portion of the 30%, or any portion of the first 30 days.
Okay.
And then I think another 3% for any subsequent 30-day period. So they're playing with fire.
Yeah.
But, you know, whether we're going to collect that small penalty from them, and who knows whether we ought to do that. In any case,
What's our recourse? If they don't pay, get it soon?
I think we talked for back and forth.
Yeah.
The number is, 125,000 for Erie, so we kind of understand why they pay us by the due date. And I suspect that for
Albany Engineering, how much?
Like $2,300 bucks.
So it's not a big.
That's what they owe us?
No, that's the penalty.
No, what,
$54,999.
54,000?
54,000.
55,000?
55,000.
I'm right to the penny.
And, Borlex still has a stay pending, but that stay does not constitute a stay. And therefore, the request does not constitute a stay. And therefore, they're probably subject to a penalty. That one I haven't calculated, but we would expect something out of them relatively quick.
What do they owe us?
418,000, and I don't remember the
change.
less than that, but it's 418 and change.
As Mike said, Rick and I met with Gerben and Filazzo and representatives from National Grid before a mediator, who's basically a federal judge, retired, and I believe we have arrived at a settlement. Today, we finally got the term sheet that Niagara Mohawk was proposing to use. After this meeting, I'll take a look at that document and confer with our counsel over at Gerben and Filazzo to decide whether we're happy with the terms Niagara's outlined or not. We'll continue to work through that settlement. The matter, the federal court matter, will remain on the trial calendar for January 16th until we hammer that out. Finally, we had one FOIA request that did come in after my report, but before this meeting, we've processed that, and there are no FOIA appeals. That is my report. We'll probably, in executive session, get into greater detail as to what the terms of settlement were and some of the issues we might have with the term sheet, timing of what's going to have to happen, and what your role is going to be in that process.
Very good. Any questions for Mr. Leslie?
No, not at the moment.
Hearing none, we move to Compliance Officer, Mr. Zicki.
Thank you. My report can be found on page 49. Our second quarter utilization report was accepted by ESD. We actually achieved 17.27%. My last board report says 6.9. I had mentioned during our last meeting that it was going to be higher. After it was all said and done, we got 17.27, which is a good amount, not 30%, but this quarter that we're in right now will be very positive. We currently have 19,105 for the trailer that we're claiming. 24,701 is the MWBE portion of the roof that was done on the second of the garage. We have contracted with IMC, Interactive Media Corporation, to do our website update, so they have $920 deposit. We have, since this was submitted, we have purchased a truck for Conklingville, and it's a Ford F-250 with a plow at $31,398, and then Aztec, we're getting MWBE through them, so I believe that we might even get above 30, which would help with the 17 we got last quarter. As a reminder, in each of your board packets are the contract status sheets on pages 50, 51, 52. They're included in your packet each month to satisfy the annual requirement of Public Authority Law 2879. And like I had already mentioned, we are working with the website company. I met with her. We're going over design options. Right now, we're just going to be converting from Dreamweaver to WordPress. It'll create a much cleaner, modern look. She's going to change some of the colors, make it more user-friendly, and then see how that goes, and maybe by next year, maybe come up with the online purchasing option.
Our website's still black and white.
Well, blue.
I mean, that's what I meant.
It'll be nicer. It'll be more modern looking, and more importantly, user-friendly. That's all I have.
Very good. Any questions?
Nope.
Thank you very much. Chief Fiscal Officer, Mr. Ferraro.
Mr. Chairman, my report can be found on pages 53 to 69. I'd actually like to focus my report today on the recent receipt of Erie's Headwater benefits payment, $2,555,700. I would like to ask the board to give me the go-ahead to immediately satisfy the past due Saratoga taxes, $902,667 and change. $920,000.
That runs with interest, doesn't it?
No, it does not.
It does not.
We pay no interest.
That's good.
That's a net gross number, no taxes. I'd also like to bring the Black Bavarian note up to date. The amount due as of December, which is as fast as we'd be able to cut them a check, would be $304,792.
How much?
It's 304.
Okay.
792.
My only-
That's right up to date.
My only question is that our money to spend just yet?
It is our money to spend. Yes.
Is it?
But isn't there an appeal process going on?
There is a rehearing request underway, and there could be an appeal of that amount later.
But once the money's in our possession and spent, it's, yeah, I assume. I'm just asking.
In the event that any portion of that Headwater benefit had to go back to Erie, we'd have to take it out of the unavailable funds.
Can't we spread it over 29 years?
Perhaps.
Correct.
No? All right.
Okay, I'd like to entertain a motion then, two motions. One,
Want to pay the taxes?
that we pay the taxes due.
Let me, can I just?
Oh, I'm sorry, okay. I think-
In terms of the taxes, when we met with Saratoga County, they had suggested that they would like to, as of 6/30/2015, the consent agreement basically said we're going back to, they pay their assessment, we pay the taxes. So what they had suggested during the meeting, kind of in passing, it didn't happen, but they said they'd like to just credit their current assessment due, which is $1,035,809, with that $920,000 and change. So issue us a check for the difference, which would take care of the past due taxes and give us the difference between that and our current assessment. So we get a check for $115,000 and change.
Without having to really pay $900.
Without having to cut a $920,000 check. It just made no sense to me.
That makes
I've
sense to me.
engaged their treasurer, and he says that that's
Works for
probably
him.
something that they would accept, because it is in conformance to the consent agreement. As far as the Black Bavarian money, that'd be an
That's fine.
internal transfer,
Mhm.
the intercompany
Right.
transfer of that money. So I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman.
No, okay, no. So we need two motions.
You
One,
can do it in one.
all right, one to pay, all right, all right. A motion to pay Saratoga County based on the formula you worked out.
Yeah, I would simply want part of that motion is in fact conditioned upon their paying us the difference that we actually receive. I don't want
Would it be better-
I don't want to approve the payment of $920,000
Would it be better for us to issue? Would it be better for us to issue two
unless in fact
checks?
we are receiving
I mean, just
the difference.
Right. Per my discussion, the way I would
Yeah.
authorize me is to authorize me to issue
Right.
the revised assessment bill to Saratoga of $1,035,809 with a credit
okay.
That's
of their
fine.
past
That's
due
fine. I
9
have
and
no
12
problem with
taxes. and 9 and
No, that's good, that's a good motion, I like that.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that.
So it's just a revise, the document already exists, it's basically the exact same documentation any beneficiary receives, the letter from me,
Okay.
indicating that this is their assessment. In this case, the letter will also include, oh, by the way, we've reduced your assessment by the agreed upon satisfaction of the past due 2009-12 taxes. 920, the bill will be adjusted, and the bill will now be 115,000 and change. So that's what I would suggest.
I think it's important to note that the figure that you're talking about, it represents the, more or less, the second half of the past due amount from the consent agreement from 2013.
Right.
And that's not the current taxes going forward. It's-
Right, no, it's past due taxes.
Okay.
Okay. We have a motion on the floor to that effect then, authorizing you
To
do it
issue
just
a
that way.
revised assessment bill reflecting
I'll make that motion.
the credit of the taxes.
Second?
I'll second that.
Any further discussion?
9.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Good, passes. Then I need another motion to bring our loan to the Black River area, 304-792.
To bring it to date.
To bring it to date.
December 2015.
I'll make that motion.
Second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Also passed. Does that complete your report, or do you have anything
On
else?
page 70. Our expenses for Mr. Rosenthal. That
I'll make the motion, we pay the expense.
Mr. Bergstress,
I'll second that.
Mr. Hayes.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Also passed.
So the rest of my report, all the cash flow reports in there do not reflect the recent check. So there will be, next month, you'll get revised cash flow
Okay.
reports that will indicate payment of satisfaction of the taxes, Black River area note, receipt of the hearing money.
Kind of nice to see the bills get paid.
All the bills.
And as I indicated during my audit report, the Paris report will be completed upon my getting back to the office this afternoon.
Very good.
Promise? Okay.
Any further questions or comments, Mr. Farrar? Thank you.
No.
Chief Engineer, Mr. Bolton.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My report begins on page 71. Both the Black and the Hudson River area had significantly less precip than it did at the end of September, and used that opportunity to bring those reservoirs back down a little bit, or adjust them to our targets. You can see in the graphs the result of the precip we had at the end of the month of September, I guess it was, brought the reservoirs up. Some of them brought it up to our targets. Others brought it up over the targets, or delayed us bringing the reservoirs down as we typically do in the fall to the target elevation. But we are continuing to bring Great Sacandaga Lake and Indian Lake back down to the target elevation. Old Fort James Lake are right at the target elevation, and Stillwater also is slightly above at about 1.2 feet above target. Generally speaking, it's a good position to be in going into what typically is a much drier part of the year. And we're on our way to bringing the reservoirs down to prepare for spring refilling, even though there's no snow. And, we've got to start that process, and we are on the way.
I think we know there will be.
Yeah. So, be happy to take any questions if there are any.
Any questions?
Good job, good job.
Mr. Hodgins.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My report starts on page 105. Last month, I went up and assisted staff with pouring the concrete walls for the Black River Field Office garage. And
Good weather.
yeah, it was beautiful.
Oh, I guess.
Yeah. And myself and Rob met with Tom Tom Brown, Chair of the Black River Environmental Improvement Association, up there for the Hawkinsville Dam. We met on site and discussed some things about going forward with that project. Permit renewals, the renewals have been printed, waiting for the letter to come in. We'll be stuffing the envelopes and sending them out hopefully December 1st. And staff at SFO are, as we speak, are out doing riprap along the shorelines of the Great Sacandaga Lake. And to close, there are 92 special permits on the Sacandaga.
92.
A few more than we
You could have
thought.
jumped in with that.
No, I just got,
I was guessing.
I just
He wasn't sure.
Rob was 8 off.
Oh.
Instead of 100. So,
Wow.
that's all I have. I'd be glad to answer any questions anybody may have.
On the permit renewals, are we going to do them electronically? I know there was some discussion that we were
are
going to
working
look, we were
on
looking at that.
I'm sorry. You know the story, I don't.
We're working on it, it won't happen this year.
Okay, okay.
No PayPal?
Not,
I
no,
can't do it on my watch.
maybe next year.
WordPress will facilitate that whole.
And any other comments, any questions? Thank you. Board questions and comments. I kind of want to put on the, there've been a number of emails and stuff about this water project that have been going on, and I think we should, I'm talking about the drinking.
Fulton County
Yeah.
has talked to the regulated
For municipal
district now
water.
off and on for 2 or 3 years. We've received a few comments. It just recently got some interest again in the Amsterdam Recorder, noting that they've retained another engineer to actually design. I think they're in the facility design stage for a water district and water treatment for eastern Fulton County, with the raw water source being Great Sacandaga Lake. As I understand it, and as we've had discussions with them in past years, they're looking at about a 1 million gallon a day plant to start. 1 million.
1.56.
Pardon?
1.56 cubic feet.
Exactly. 1 million gallons a day sounds like a lot of water, but when you compare that to our chief engineer does everything, calculates everything in daily averages, and in the units of cubic feet per second, that represents 1.56 cubic feet per second. You
24-hour
probably
period.
wouldn't leak that much.
We
summer months.
leak well beyond that.
Probably
Somewhere
a vat.
somebody does, even just through the turbine.
We do evaporate more than
You evaporate it,
Yeah.
yeah, faster.
We evaporate off sometimes as many as 100 cubic feet per second, and our margin of error when it comes to measurement down at the USGS gauge is anywhere from 80 to 150 CFS.
Well, my question, we sell this water, right? Even though it's a minute
Yes.
amount. Does that set any kind of precedent?
Well, it's allowed, it's provided for.
We're allowed to,
within the rules.
Okay.
And we do already,
I-
to the village of Norfolk.
I'm just wondering, there's been so much, well, not so much, there has been some
Occasion.
occasional, especially since that article, misunderstanding of what that would be. I'm wondering if,
I'm included in that.
if,
I read that article
if,
immediately.
if we
Made
should
inquiries
get to the
about
Leader
that.
Herald somehow with an article about what that would be, just with the discussion that we've had about how little water that would be and what it would mean.
I assume they're just supplementing their
No, I
supply.
think,
Or they-
not to speak for the county, but my understanding is that their intent is to bring municipal water to a portion of the county that does not have.
Oh,
it
okay.
now.
So they have
And
that.
it's still all on wells. They want to create essentially a
Water
water
district.
district.
My concern for myself and the other permit holders, what net effect does it have on the levels of the lake for recreational purposes as a result of this project?
If we're talking just a few million gallons per day, it's completely unnoticeable. Has no effect. Because as I said, a million gallons a day is only 1 cubic foot per second. We release typically throughout the year, on average, 1,300 cubic feet per second. So,
Another way to look at it, is just just to give everybody perspective and present this, we always talk about 1 foot of reservoir elevation being about 1 billion cubic feet.
1 billion with a B?
With a B. One times 10 to the ninth, 1 billion cubic feet.
all right.
And we're talking about 1 million gallons, which is, oh my gosh, I gotta do the math, it's about 12% of a cubic foot. So it's 12% of 1/1000th. So it's darn near immeasurable with respect to reservoir elevation. Just based on, our average release right now, around the clock, on a daily basis, our bare minimum, I don't mean to,
That's fine.
is we have there's a low flow requirement at Stewart's Bridge. So even to maintain a minimum of 350 cubic feet per second, which means we're never, ever not releasing anything. So even on the driest day of the year, we're still letting 350 cubic feet per second out of the reservoir around the clock, every day of the year minimum. And that represents, so we're 1/300th or less of that, of the bare minimum release. It's almost immeasurable, especially when we can't even measure to the cubic foot at the USGS gauge. We're within, like Ralph said, you've got a margin of error there of 100 cubic feet per second either way.
If they go municipal water, they're gonna go same with sewer eventually, which brings the water back into the river anyway, doesn't it?
It's not, going the other way.
Yeah, but still, it comes back.
It's subject to the canal.
Oh, no, okay, over the canal.
No.
That's right. So there we go.
Okay, well, I think that, addresses the,
And I think you're right, Mr. Chairman, and perhaps the way for us to address that is to do that in concert with the county or their engineer, rather than get in front of them. Just ask them to articulate that, or issue some type of joint statement.
yeah, that's what I think.
The quantity of water we're talking about is
Yeah. I mean,
by comparison in the reservoir.
a little knowledge is powerful.
Can we get somebody to represent that at one of the meetings, come and talk about it?
You mean one of us go to one of the county supervisors meetings?
No, yeah, we'll have one of them that wants to represent this smart water come to one of our meetings and speak onto it and talk about
I
it.
think it's a great idea.
But I assume it's just in the early planning
Well,
stage.
I don't think that, they haven't, they're still doing facility planning. I don't know that I don't believe they have any funding for this yet.
But it just keeps people from,
Well,
going into a frenzy over this.
In that spirit, is it worth it for us to articulate, at least on the website,
Yeah.
what the potential of this is all about?
Yeah.
We don't want this to be on our project
Right.
in any public forum.
But we're going to be identified with it. I mean, we already are.
But anybody that asks us, we can say there is no impact.
Right.
Talk to the county water
Right.
and,
We're the source of raw water. That's,
right.
Okay.
So
I mean, we've cleared it up, I think, for the record, I hope, and
and I have taken a couple of those calls, and I think anybody else that gets an inquiry like that can also
yeah.
question, even in a general sense, that the relative nature of it is it's almost immeasurable.
Okay. Did you speak to the one who sent that one about the
did.
plant? Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, she was obviously very concerned. Okay, any other board member questions or comments? Resolution for the next board meeting, which is in Glens Falls, I think, or Lakeville. Warren County. Warren County.
Blue line there,
Yep.
Yep.
Right off of exit
20.
20.
And,
Take a right and it's right there.
Right there.
and the date
Drive
is,
in.
I don't have the date written down, I'm sorry.
December
December
8th, Tuesday.
Oh, we're not going to be going to Watertown in December.
Some of you want it.
A motion?
Yeah, I'll make that motion.
Mr. Hayes?
Second?
Mr. Needham?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion, no, any other business to come before the board? If not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Executive session?
Oh, yes, we need a motion to go to executive. I'm sorry, I forgot. Need a motion to go to executive session?
Mr. Rosenthal?
Okay, and we will not be coming out with a vote of doing any business from executive session, just going to adjournment to those who are in attendance. All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Any opposed? Fine, we are in executive session. Thank you. Thank you for coming.